This week on Across the Arrowverse, it was Families Week. Supergirl showed us the next generation. Legends introduced a daughter. Arrow did Fathers without doing Fathers. And The Flash was sponsored by Microsoft Surface. Hi everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host Matthew Vose, and I'm joined by Catherine Kay.
Hi everybody.
This week we're discussing the episodes Supergirl Midvale, The Flash When Harry Met Harry, Legends of Tomorrow, Helen Hunt, and Arrow Promises Kept. Supergirl and Flash, I think, had excellent weeks again.
Yeah, really good.
Let's kick off with them. Midvale, they introduced the two, Alex and Kara, as younger, and we had a story about them growing up.
Really enjoyed it. Excellent casting. I kept doing double takes a little bit with the girl that was playing Alex, thinking, that is another girl, isn't it? It's not just them with Alex in younger makeup, because some of the mannerisms and her speech, just a really, really well-cast actress.
Yeah. And the girl playing Kara was very good and had it down. And I suspect Kara's a bit harder because she doesn't necessarily have her own mannerisms, or what she does are centred around her dual identity and the Supergirl identity.
Yeah.
But Alex was excellent. I wonder if they'd worked together.
I think they must have done. Maybe workshopped some mimicking or classes, things like that. There's obviously some effort gone into that whole how do we make this link between these two actresses? How do we get that feeling there? But I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, the writing of it was very, very good. I've got a note here. Catherine was right. How did she know? Because you picked up that it was the sheriff, the policeman, and we got there and then it was. How did you know, Catherine?
I think I watched too many crime procedural dramas. It was like, you are seemingly innocent, and yet we're taking the time to speak to you early on in the show. You are evil.
You had it bang on. I did not expect it to be him. I thought it might be the dad. But the writing was a bit better than that.
Yeah.
I really liked the way they got to that point. The lingering look at the telescope early on, the Chekhov's telescope, and then introducing the girls sleeping in the same bedroom and using that as the cut. Yeah,
that was really nice. I liked the fact that the sort of, Supergirl as Nancy Drew. I liked them solving a mortal crime, rather than a super crime. It's like, well, yes, bad things happen with just humans as well. It doesn't
absolutely
have to all be about the supernatural.
On the sections, the bookends of the episode with the Alex and Kara as we know them, it was really interesting seeing Kara with her glasses off, but not made up as Supergirl.
Yes.
She looked entirely different. A bit like when Felicity takes her glasses off in Arrow. Suddenly she's a different person.
And it's interesting because it's kind of, that's off-duty Kara, but who also doesn't need to hide anything. But it's interesting that we've never seen her like that before.
Yeah.
Because theoretically, off-duty Kara in her normal environment, she's just hanging out with Mon-El and things like that. Theoretically, she didn't have to hide anything either, but this definitely seemed like off-duty Kara.
I never picked up on it, if they have done it before, but this episode it really was quite striking. On the actresses, there was the moment at the end with the new Kara's mother, whose name I can't remember, turning up, but then it turning out to be John.
Yes.
John. It was a really weird moment because I didn't think John was part of that family effectively at that point and helping them out, and he also wasn't a nice person or that keen on humanity to help out in that way.
But I mean, I guess at that point, what wasn't the Mr. Danvers, wasn't his disappearance all around or linked with rescuing John.
Yeah, John crashing to Earth and then them going looking for him, and him taking over the place of Hank Henshaw.
Yeah. And I wonder if his attention to Cara and the family is linked with feelings of remorse for the fact that the dad's missing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I also found it surely is really messing with your young ward's head to pretend to be a social worker that looks like her mother.
Yeah.
That's a little bit like gaslighting her into submission.
A little bit, yeah.
I wasn't keen on that. And also I'm not into this, hey, look, her mum looks different. You don't notice, do you? I'm like, no, I'm not a big fan of changes of actress like that.
I assume there was a production reason in there somewhere.
Yeah.
There was a mention all the way... I'm going to circle back around to the mum in a second, because there was a mention a few times through it of Chloe.
Yep.
And her cousin's friend Chloe, who likes all this space stuff and computers.
Yeah.
That was a character introduced in Smallville, who has become part of the Superman canon as a sort of meteor space watcher who collected stuff and investigated it, and that ended up helping Clark.
Okay.
Although in the beginning it was she might uncover his secret.
Right. So she was created in Smallville, and then they've brought her into the comics.
She's
and
in the
like
comics.
that.
She was introduced in issue 895 or something.
Wow.
But yeah.
It's interesting, because I have always assumed that the people who do the comics would be quite dismissive and look down on TV shows.
Yeah. Yes, except I think Felicity has been expanded, and now her role in Arrow is now her role in some of the comics. I would particularly point to Harley Quinn as the big one who's crossed over all media, of course. The other one I want to follow up on that, though, the actress, in reading up on this stuff, the actress who plays her mum, the new mum actress, played Lois Lane in Smallville.
Oh, really?
Yes. So this is them continually using people, again, who are part of the DC family.
Nice.
Great.
Fun.
Great. All round a good episode. Just other notes all the way through it. I like Kara's ongoing accepting that she's not human.
Yeah.
And that means a different expectation for her.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go. I liked the twist with the teacher. I did not see it coming. With him sleeping with the other student.
Yeah.
And getting in trouble for that. And that was very well done. I've got a note of great writing in the reconciliation scene. The bit between Cara and Alex at the end was very well done.
Nice. Very touching.
And then I've got a note of nasty Canadians.
Who were the nasty Canadians?
I'm not sure. Do I just write nasty Canadians randomly every so often?
I don't think so. Because normally it's nice Canadians, right?
Was there a thing about Canadians on the border or having to go after?
Someone was quite derogatory about Canadians, but I can't remember.
No,
No,
it's gone. Anyway, a very good episode. Yeah,
Fun.
really, really impressed. This feels like they might be the writers finding their feet. Yes, that was the point of the writers. The writers of this were both women, and I feel like it shows in that reconciliation scene.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like had that been written by a man, or at least one man, if not both men, it would have been much quicker. Whereas this felt them actually talking through their problems in what felt more realistic.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I could necessarily ascribe it to whether it's female writers or male writers, but certainly I thought it was a very touching and nuanced scene. So perhaps that speaks to the writers having some empathy for the situation.
Yeah. Yes. Right. What you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Nice, yeah. No, I'm pretty done. I mean, I suppose the only other thing that I really enjoyed about the whole thing with Supergirl and the sisters and things like that is it entertained me that even Supergirl and Alex, when you're back under your parents' roof, some of your behaviour regresses to that you had when you were teens, and I thought that really did speak to reality.
Yes. Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely. I experienced this. I know people who experience this.
Yeah.
Yes, this is absolutely what happens. You revert to some of your more adolescent behaviours.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I thought it was quite fun to see that replicated on the screen, because it's not something you always see in TV series.
Yeah. Talking about people who grew up together, who behave in obviously the same way, The Flash and Iris. Presumably their relationship has changed over the years, so...
Yes, indeed.
No, the Flash, when Harry met Harry, a lot going on this week. The big bit, which was not necessarily plot A, but felt like the show was giving a lot of attention to it, was the Council of Wells.
Oh, I loved it. Multi-Wells. I mean, so very silly.
Yeah.
So very silly.
Incredibly stereotypical.
But so very fun.
Yeah. We had Wolfgang Lothario, Wells 2.0, and Gandalf.
Just, yeah. The actor is awesome.
Yes.
This, like, main Wells, this version of Wells, I've said it before on this show, but this is by far my favourite Wells.
Yeah.
I found last season's Wells a bit irritating. I much prefer this Wells, and I'm enjoying his attempt to connect with his friends.
Yes. Oh, that was just amazing. I've made friends. It was a task, and I complete tasks.
Yes.
That is a great line.
Yeah.
That is really good, and that is solid characterization right there.
Yeah,
absolutely. There were lots, mostly from them. I've got just references to the jokes they made. The Wells 2.0 wanting to find every person called DeVoe and kill them in a superb Terminator reference.
Yeah.
Them talking about how good they were, and Cisco's line of "You're a wizard, Harry." Wonderful. Nice. Wonderful, and I did not see it coming, so that's a very good moment. But in general, just the fun amongst them.
Yeah, I like the fact that the show has taken time to both spend the money on getting him kitted up like that, and give airtime to what really is mainly silliness.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. This could have been him working on his own to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And then getting to the same resolution. So this was just them giving him a lot of time to give everyone else a bit of time off, maybe. So, the main plot of it was a combo almost of training Dibney and Black Bison. Bam Balam.
What? Who was Black Bison?
The lady who could control the animals.
Oh, no,
so, yeah, she was actually a fairly minor point.
Yes. I'm remembering her now.
Her MacGuffin chasing ancient artifact.
Yeah.
Again, a new meta who is not necessarily evil.
No.
She's going for a sort of social justice element of restoring things to the Native American or her people.
And it's interesting. I think that's continuing a theme in this series.
It is, isn't it?
There's an element of selfishness and obsession with one's own agenda amongst these new metas, which lead them into behaviour which is not necessarily laudable.
Yeah.
But I don't think the underlying. I don't think you can put them on a good and evil.
No.
Spectrum like that. It's just sort of self-obsession.
Yeah. This is a power corrupts.
Yes.
It's not they are villains.
Yes.
Where we had the weather dude who just wanted to destroy things, or Snart and Rory.
Yeah.
So the plot with them was mostly training Dibney. Was a lot of it. We had the really strange moment with the mugger at the beginning that felt pure comic relief and showing off he can't be damaged by bullets. And then we had the big, a couple of big fights. We had the fight where the girl got injured.
Yeah.
We had the fight in the museum.
Yeah.
We had a moment halfway through, the same sort of thing to teach the thing about don't let her get away, or let her get away if there's people in danger, but otherwise not. So fine, they're leaning on that moment, but they're trying to make Dibney part of the team very quickly.
Yeah, are we going to... I mean, I can't even remember now, but are we going to address his lechy sketchiness as well?
I'm not sure. I suspect that's a character trait that will probably be softened over time.
Yeah. Maybe
by the introduction of his other half. I spoke on his introduction about how he's often known to be with Sue Dibney.
Yeah.
So maybe when we introduce her, I did note that the Native American tribe in this one was the Sioux tribe. And I don't know. I don't know if they're that clever. I don't know if they expect people to know enough, but that's an interesting random happenstance.
Yeah. Yeah, I need him not to be so crass.
Yeah.
I want to like him. There are things he says and does that make me that make me smile.
Yeah.
His suit was ridiculous. Like, seriously, that's like the world's worst superhero suit.
There's some really interesting stuff going on there. I loved the thing of him thinking it was under the tarp, but it is the tarp.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Now, one of the core facets of the Flash mythos is that he carries his his suit with him in a ring, and it bursts out of the ring and he puts it on in an instant. Now, they've never been able to do it in this show.
Yep.
But that suit that he was wearing is a lead up to being able to do that, I think. I'm hoping, because it's one of those things that they've always done in the cartoons and comics.
Yeah.
And because they want to be a little real world in this show, they have to work us there step by step. But I wonder if they've decided, let's give him the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the way they've gotten around that, because there is also the thing of, hey, why do you wear a Flash ring if you don't want anyone to know you're the Flash? They start selling rings. They have a gift shop.
Nice.
The Justice League, the League of Heroes.
Nice.
They sell Flash rings as a thing, and he loves the Flash, so he wears a ring.
Nice.
So I'm hoping that's where that might go. That was a good joke, though.
Yeah.
I love the Wests. West and West are on the case.
Yeah.
Great.
Iris, confident, cool, useful.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep going with empowered Iris. I like it.
We had a great moment at the museum with them being attacked by the skeleton.
Yes.
And they went, we have a T-Rex. Great. Love a Jurassic Park reference.
Yeah. Nice.
And then ended with them meeting Clifford DeVoe.
I love the fact that the DeVoes have their dodgy basement. Their dungeon where they dress up in their special costumes and then they have their day-to-day life.
Okay. We need to do a 50 Shades thing on this, don't we? Yeah. I have certain interests. I'm a supervillain.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's going to go, but that was an interesting cliffhanger. Because you feel like Barry's going to walk away, but they were also so certain going into it. So, we'll see.
We'll see.
Good. Legends, Helen Hunt.
Yeah, I appreciated that. That was good.
That's a good... Compared to the other title of When Harry Met Harry, which is not a good title. That's not a good pun.
It's all right.
Oh.
I didn't mind. That was a wry smile, whereas Helen Hunt was a laugh.
Yes, yeah. The plot was okay.
Yeah.
What there was of it.
Yeah, I mean, Sarah.
Well, yes.
Sarah was awesome, and she wore some great clothes.
Yes.
That's you know that's. I basically want that dress that she was wearing with the red top.
The red. Lovely.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Helen in the title is Helen of Troy, the most beautiful woman in the world, the face that launched 1,000 ships.
Yeah.
I wish we hadn't seen her.
Yeah, because I mean, she was pretty. She was very pretty.
Yeah.
But it would have been a much more mysterious and interesting thing if we had. I agree, if we hadn't seen her full on.
Yeah.
But then I suppose they used her character more than they would have been able if we didn't see her properly. But they could have managed. They could have worked around that.
I would have liked it if the entire thing we just did not get to see her.
Yeah.
I would have quite liked that. I feel like there would have been a better conversation around it.
Yeah.
I mentioned at the very beginning the daughter. We have now know that is Dark's daughter. And I feel like he did have a child when he was an Arrow.
Didn't he have a little boy with his wife?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
Because that's one of the things I was wondering with Dark. I'm like, so Dark is now just like carousing around the place with his sexy, hardcore, evil Charlie's Angels is how I've described them.
I like it.
You know, but he was all into creating a utopia with his wife and... Oh no, it was a daughter. But surely she wouldn't have grown up that much. It must have been a different
but this
daughter.
is a time travel story.
Oh,
so
true.
at some point she gets time travel.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. It just it's
Yeah.
Don't
yeah,
like dark.
the whole thing, I'm not sure where it's going. I feel like there's more to be revealed about his interest in this and why everyone's working with him.
Yeah.
One of the big points of this was the swap between Jefferson and Professor Stein.
Yeah. That was so obviously going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, before it even happened, I said, oh, they're going to Freaky Friday them.
Yeah.
And then they themselves use the Freaky Friday reference a number of times. I was just like, yeah, a bit obvious. And badly done.
Yeah, I feel the actors weren't quite on point enough.
Yeah.
They were camping it up rather than doing a really... Where we had the actresses in Supergirl doing really good impressions, these were really obvious, not that good impressions.
Yeah, they were the sort of impression you'd do of your mates in the bar after a few pints.
Yeah. I liked Jefferson understanding the ravages of age on Stein's body.
Yeah.
That was quite nice. There was such an opportunity for Stein to understand the racial implications of being in the past and Jefferson going on a mission, and they did nothing with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm disappointed they didn't have a couple of lines or just something where someone treated him badly.
They're very inconsistent with their attitude towards race in this show. Like, some episodes, they'll just be like this episode, and it'll virtually be, hey, everyone's colourblind.
Yeah.
And we're not going to acknowledge that there was racism in this time. And some episodes, that will be a plot point.
Yeah.
And so suddenly it will be a thing.
More so than any other episode we've had in this series so far, I feel the ensemble was used here.
Yes.
Everyone got probably about the same amount of screen time and the same amount of work to do. I loved Zari. I like her a lot still.
Yes, me too. She's proper sensible.
Absolutely. And then she dropped her off at Themyscira at the end.
Yeah.
Terrific. Not making Wonder Woman canonical on this Earth. This is just the Amazons live here. Great.
Nice.
That's perfect. And I did shout it like I was hoping for it when they said it, so I was quite pleased they got there.
Yes.
Moving on to Arrow.
Do we have to?
We said that we would track Oliver as a leader, Felicity whatever she does, and Oliver's son. None of whom were really in this episode. Felicity definitely wasn't in this episode. She barely did a thing.
Well, they had a nice family scene at the end.
Oh yeah, no, at the very end there were the three of them, but other than that they weren't in it. No. Oliver had very little to do. He was mainly exposition questioning person for Deathstroke. Yeah. But this was all about Deathstroke and his son and John's drug addiction. Yeah.
Both of which, well, I'm not going to say bad things about Arrow. It was all right.
Yeah.
Oliver continues to be a morally upstanding character.
Yeah.
Which I quite like.
Yeah.
He's the moral ambiguity that there used to be around Oliver as the Arrow.
Yeah.
It feels like he's grown out of that and he's moved on, and he has chosen to walk his life very firmly on a path of the righteous.
In the light, being a good leader, advisor to people.
Yeah. Which
is what we want. So.
And I like that very much. I very much like seeing him come home to a happy family scene with Felicity and his son. Yeah. And Felicity and his son getting on and hanging out, and all the warm and fuzzies.
Yeah. With Deathstroke, I mentioned about the fathers and sons, because it was all about Deathstroke and his son. I felt we could have done a little more perhaps with Diggle and his son, and with Oliver and his son. A couple more references, just make that the theme of the episode. But this was a little all over the place. It's the same plot we've had with Diggle for a while about keeping secrets and the tremor and not being able to support the team. So,
well, at least that is now. Not so much. Of a secret.
They said let's not keep secrets, and then they show us that she's keeping a secret. So this show is behaving as it always has done. I was wishing at one point for an oblique reference to Justice League. Just when Lila turned up, I wanted something of I was helping the Amazons after Steppenwolf's attack. Just something throwaway that might give us that's nice.
It's not. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, they're two different universes. Fine, it would have been fun.
Yeah.
So as we've gone through, you've probably picked up, I've made reference to how many people were missing from these shows. Oliver and Felicity weren't in their own show. No one from Supergirl was in their own show.
Yeah.
Alex and Kara barely at all.
Yeah.
The Legends was completely spread across the ensemble.
Yeah.
And the Flash, it was all about Wells and Cisco and Dibney.
Yeah.
With a bit of Flash in there, and nothing of the Wests and nothing of Caitlin. Do we think, given there's a crossover coming up, do we think this was the week of rehearsals?
I think it's sensible use of cast members to get the most recording done in the most time-efficient manner.
Yeah. It felt obvious to me because we started with Supergirl when no one was in it. So I was like, wow, no Jimmy Olsen, no Luther, no Sam, no... John was barely in it, no... The other guy whose name I've forgotten, Win.
Yeah. No, but you're right. I mean, especially I think Supergirl and the Arrow in particular. Those two were very much road trip shots where they could use different scenery, because it's not just the cast that wasn't in there.
Yeah,
it's also their normal sets. So perhaps their normal sets are key in the crossover. So
that's a really good point.
They've got most of the normal cast back on their normal sets doing the crossover filming. Yeah, and they're filling some time on alternative sets.
Yeah, Win and John are at the DEO with Felicity and the West.
Curtis and the West.
And exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, interesting that it stood out, but I think only because of that start. I think any other order, I wouldn't have picked up on it.
But also, probably only because we're comparing the four of them like this.
That's the point of the show.
Yeah.
Let's see how they all perform together.
Yeah.
Do I need to ask you episode of the week?
I think Flash for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I enjoyed the Supergirl one, but for me, the giggles of Flash beat the pathos of Supergirl.
Wow. Because all of Supergirl was good.
Yes.
I enjoyed the whole episode. I enjoyed the Flash moments with Wells. The rest of it was largely okay with a couple of good moments.
Maybe one big laugh can win my heart.
Yeah. The introduction of the Wells was very good. Yes.
Yeah.
And then the Gandalf Wells.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think possibly it's because that has stuck in my memory as a point of that really made me as a point of that really made me smile more than any one incident in the Supergirl episode has.
Okay. Who was your favourite Wells?
Oh. Proper Wells.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Still
my favourite.
This is Harry, isn't it?
Yes, I think.
Yeah, not HR. HR was last season.
HR was last season.
Yeah, okay.
HR is no more.
Okay. Oh, I liked Wells 2.0. I loved him eating some rat thing. I loved that he was possibly a cannibal.
Yeah.
Great. A quick track of Cisco's shirts this week. We had 2 good shirts. We had one that was an image missing image, like a website that hadn't loaded.
Nice.
But the image was called awesomeimage.jpg.
Nice.
And he had another shirt that looked like a kind of 2001 poster, but about the launch of Sputnik.
Fun.
A bit more serious, but a bit of fun. Across the episodes, who had a good week?
Young Kara. She gained a sister.
Yeah.
And she gained some confidence in herself and her powers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking young Alex. I think I liked her getting over, because you can see how her life would have been disrupted by the new sister coming in.
Yes.
And she, through this episode, dealt with it well. I like the sort of, it's not quite a coming of age story, but a nice coming together story. That was nice. Do we want to call anyone out as terrible this week? I'm not sure I can think of anyone who was actively terrible. Even
Nate didn't make me want to poke his eyes out this week. He was better than he's been for a while.
Nate had one moment where he pushed down the meatheadedness.
Yeah.
Where I feel in previous weeks he would have been worse about saying just how good Helen Troy looked.
Yeah.
He played it downwards, so...
Yeah, no, there's no one that I thought had an absolutely awful week.
No, good.
So, yeah. Yeah, solids all round.
So that wraps us up for another week. If you have thoughts, questions or comments, you can use the hashtag ATAV on Twitter, or find us on Twitter, Instagram or Facebook as Eloquent Gushing. If you want to help support us, please check out our Patreon page, where you can get access to exclusive content like outtakes and our discussion on latest movies. Please go to patreon.com/eloquentgushing to check it out. And visit our homepage, eloquentgushing.com, to sign up for the weekly newsletter about the goings-on across this and all the other shows. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you across the Arrowverse.
Across the Arrowverse is an Eloquent Gushing production. For more shows you'll love, please visit eloquentgushing.com.